From the deserts of North Africa to the muddy roads of Europe, one shape came to symbolize mobility in World War II: the small, open, all-terrain Jeep-type vehicle. But the famous American Jeep was not alone. Nearly every major power built its own light scout and utility car. This video breaks down every major Jeep-type vehicle used in World War II, the compact 4x4s and light runabouts that carried scouts, officers, and commandos into the heart of the war. The story begins with the United States, where the true Jeep was born. Bantam BRC-40. In 1940, the tiny American Bantam Car Company won the U.S. Army's race to design a light 4x4 scout car. Their answer was the Bantam BRC-40, a stubby, boxy machine with excellent off-road ability for its size. Only a few thousand were built, but they proved the concept and set the pattern all later Jeeps would follow: compact, rugged, and simple to maintain. Willys MA. Willys Overland entered the competition next with the Willys MA. It kept the basic Bantam layout but added the powerful Go Devil engine, giving the little car impressive torque for climbing hills and hauling loads. The MA was still a pre-production design, but it introduced the mechanical heart that would power the wartime Jeep. Ford GP. Ford's trial model, the Ford GP, was another take on the Army's quarter-ton 4x4 formula. The letters GP were an internal code, but many soldiers blurted into the nickname Jeep. The GP refined the layout and gave the Army more options to compare before standardizing on a final design. Willys MB and Ford GPW, the standard Jeep. Out of these trials emerged the classic wartime Jeep, the Willys MB, with Ford building an almost identical copy called the GPW. Lightweight, with a short wheelbase, fold-down windshield, and that torquey four-cylinder engine, the MB GPW could go almost anywhere a soldier could walk. It served as a scout car, radio vehicle, ambulance, gun tractor, and command car. More than 600,000 were built, and thousands were shipped to Allied armies under Lend-Lease, making the Jeep a truly global machine. Ford GPA Seep. For amphibious operations, Ford stretched the Jeep into a tiny boat car, the Ford GPA, nicknamed the Seep, short for Sea Jeep. It kept the basic Jeep mechanics inside a boat-shaped hull with a propeller and rudder for water travel. The GPA was underpowered and unstable in rough water, but on rivers and marshes it saw real service, especially with Soviet troops who used it extensively on the Eastern Front. Germany never built a direct copy of the American Jeep, but it did field its own distinct Jeep-type machines. Volkswagen Kübelwagen Type 2. The main German light utility car was the Volkswagen Kübelwagen, or bucket car. Built on the same air-cooled backbone chassis as the civilian Beetle, it was simple, reliable, and extremely light. Despite lacking four-wheel drive, its low weight, portal axles, and good ground clearance allowed it to keep up with armored columns across desert sand and Russian mud. Over 50,000 were built, serving as staff cars, scouts, and general runabouts on every front. Volkswagen Schwimmwagen Type 166. For amphibious work, Germany created the Schwimmwagen, literally swimming car. This bathtub-shaped 4x4 featured a retractable propeller at the rear and a boat-like hull, turning the little Volkswagen into an all-terrain, all-environment scout car. It could drive down a riverbank, drop its propeller, and motor across the far shore. Recon units and engineers used Schwimmwagens wherever quick crossings and flexible movement were needed. The Soviet Union received thousands of American Jeeps, but also fielded its own homegrown designs. GAZ-24 and GAZ-67. The GAZ-24, introduced in 1941, was the Red Army's first purpose-built light 4x4. It borrowed ideas from American and European cars, but was tailored for crude roads and harsh Russian winters. An improved model, the GAZ-67, followed in 1943 with a wider track and stronger frame for better stability off-road. These rugged little machines hauled commanders, reconnaissance teams, and light weapons from Stalingrad to Berlin, often fighting alongside imported Willys Jeeps in the same units. Japan's primary Jeep-type vehicle was the Type 95 Kurogane. Unlike many early war light cars, the Kurogane was designed from the start as a military 4x4 Scout. Compact and high-riding, with an air-cooled engine for reliability in remote areas, it served with cavalry, infantry, and airfield units across China and the Pacific. Though built in far smaller numbers than Allied Jeeps, it holds the distinction of being one of the first mass-produced four-wheel drive military cars in the world. Italy relied heavily on light cars in its North African and Mediterranean campaigns. Fiat 508 CM Coloniale. The Fiat 508 CM was a militarized version of a small passenger car, adapted as a staff and liaison vehicle. Nicknamed Coloniale for its service in the colonies, it featured higher ground clearance and a tougher suspension, making it a practical, if modest, Jeep-type runabout for officers and dispatch riders. SPA AS.42 Sahariana. For long-range desert patrols, the Italians created the SPA AS.42 Sahariana. Bigger than a standard Jeep, but filling a similar role, it was an open-topped, heavily armed reconnaissance car with extra fuel tanks and racks of machine guns or anti-tank rifles. Used by Italian and later German special units, it was the Axis counterpart to the famous British SAS desert Jeeps. From the iconic Willys MB to the quirky Kurogane and floating Schwimmwagen, Jeep-type vehicles gave every army something they desperately needed in a global, fast-moving war. A small, dependable machine that could go almost anywhere, carry almost anything, and always be in the right place at the right time.